Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the WWE Raw review show for Monday, January 3rd. First Raw of 2022. Brock Lesnar is your WWE champion. He'll face Bobby Lashley at the Royal Rumble. A bunch of Royal Rumble participants announced tonight. A bunch of new matches added to the Royal Rumble. Omas gets a big win. Miz and Maurice will team up once again. Let's talk about Raw. I'm rolling solo. We're under curfew. Let's go. Yeah. What's up, everybody? It's me. It's Dave. I'm solo here tonight. Usually have my brother here, but of course we're under curfew in the province of Quebec, so he can't be here past 10 p.m. No one can be out on the streets past 10 p.m., and if they are, they get severely fined. I think it's between $1,000 and $6,000. I'm not really sure what the difference is between being out at 10 o'clock and getting fined $1,000 or being out past 10 and getting fined $6,000. Maybe the later the night goes, the more the fines go up. I don't know. But that's why my brother's not here, and he won't be here for the foreseeable future on Monday nights with me. But I am here to talk to you about Raw and the things that we saw, or perhaps the things that I saw and you are waiting for me to talk about. Sound effects are still there. Not sure what that was for. Usually there's like a graphic to go along with that. Are we all right? What's going on? Is the production team with me tonight? Is anybody with me tonight? I feel alone. Oh, the team's with me. All right, the team is with me. I see them operating. What's up, Angelo? Angelo Contagonis watching us on Twitch. You could watch us on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, on all the things. Silent by Deadly is watching us. Ryan Katz is watching us. Brian Firth. Jason Pete. Shout out to everybody watching us live here. Ray Cruz. What's up, Ray? All right. Anybody watch Raw tonight, or was I alone in that? Whoa. Oh, my God. All right. I watched Raw, all 3 hours of it. And, yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad episode of Raw. I've seen worse. I've seen better. But, you know, for an average episode, this was all right. A lot of Brock Lesnar, a lot of meaningful matches. But again, and this has been a problem with Raw a lot, the main event is set up at the top of the show, and we know the result already. We know the result going into it. I mean, we put out a graphic earlier today for this show, and it was Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. We knew. Look at the YouTube graphic. We knew. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. That was obvious. I told you at day one that was probably the match they were going to do. After day one, when Brock won the WWE title, he had that stare down with Bobby Lashley when Bobby was outside the ring and Brock was standing tall. He was staring at Bobby. He wasn't staring at Big E or Seth or Kevin. He was staring at Bobby. And the word was Bobby was next up for Brock. Bobby looked strongest against Brock in that match at day one. And Bobby is now the next opponent for Brock Lesnar. We knew this. But of course we had to sit through the match, which was very good. Match of the night for sure. Bobby Lashley getting the win over Big E, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins in the Fatal 4-Way main event, where the winner faces Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. We knew Bobby was going to win. They have to do a better job of hiding their winners. We got to lower that. It's scared me every time. But they have to do a better job of hiding their winners. It's too obvious, and it's hard for a viewer to sit through a 3-hour program when you know what the end result is going to be. You know Bobby's going to win in the end. There's no suspense. There's no, oh, gee, I wonder. We knew Bobby was going to win. It was obvious that Bobby was going to be next for Brock after day one. All the reports online were, yes, Bobby will face Brock. And then WWE announces, oh, this fatal four-way is going to happen, and the winner faces Brock at the Rumble. And, of course, Bobby's in it. So, obviously, Bobby was going to win tonight. They need to protect their finishes a lot better, and maybe people will tune into their shows with some sort of anticipation. Like, gee, I wonder who will be next up for Brock. Will it be Kevin Owens? Like, if Kevin Owens hit a stunner on Brock after the match at day one, you might think, oh, maybe Kevin Owens is going to be the guy. And then you swerve us with Bobby Lashley, and it's more fun. Expect the unexpected, pal. What about that? What about expecting the unexpected? We saw Vince tonight, which is always great. Always great to see Mr. McMahon mumble his way through another promo. Main event was very good, though. Excellent match. Bobby hitting vertical suplexes on everybody. Bobby then ran himself through the barricade. I don't know if you guys saw this match, but I think Bobby was supposed to be aiming at Kevin Owens, who was maybe near the barricade. Kevin moved. The camera angle made it look like Bobby was just heading towards the barricade and had decided, oh, I vertical suplexed Big E. I vertical suplexed Kevin Owens. I've cleared the ring. I'm doing too well here. I'm going to put myself through a barricade. It was very strange the way that was shot and the way that it looked. It looked like Bobby was just, let's run into this barricade, and then he puts himself through it. Seth and Kevin Owens buried Bobby under the barricade, then powerbombed Big E through the announce table. Seth and Kevin Owens working together throughout this match, which was a very nice element of this match. Seth and Kevin worked together, and they didn't do that typical wrestling thing in a multi-man match that is one fall to a finish, where there'll be a team until one of the guys goes for a cover, and then, of course, the other guy will interrupt, and then they'll fight. That did not happen tonight, which added to my enjoyment of this match quite a bit, because it wasn't the same old thing. They did something different. Kevin Owens goes for a swanton. Seth Rollins hits a frog splash, and Seth goes to cover Big E, right? And Kevin Owens is just celebrating, thinking that his friend Seth has won this match and will be going up to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. Because Kevin and Seth had said to each other before the match, like, yeah, well, Kevin was really the one with the idea, saying, hey, let's team up. Let's, continue working together. One of us will win, and then whoever wins can go on to beat Brock Lesnar for the title and then go to WrestleMania as WWE champion. And Seth was like, yeah, all right, can I trust you? And Kevin's like, yeah, of course. And Kevin wasn't sure if he could trust Seth, but during the match, Seth goes for the cover, Kevin's right there, and Kevin is cheering for Seth, and Big E kicks out at 2, and Kevin was mad. And Seth played it perfectly, looking at Kevin like, whoa, okay, I guess we are doing this. I thought you would for sure interrupt this cover, but I guess we're working together. And then Kevin Owens hits a pop-up powerbomb on Big E and goes for the cover, and Seth didn't interrupt. Was going to let Kevin Owens win the match, which I thought was good. Lashley stopped it, of course. Bobby Lashley then hit a spear on Big E, hit a spear on Kevin Owens, and hit a spear on Seth Rollins, and then pinned Kevin Owens to win. I think it was a spear on E, spear on Seth, and then the spear on Kevin, which was the final one because everybody's out, and he pins him 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. Just taking everybody out in the finish. Bobby Lashley looking very strong at the end. Probably the spot of the match was the guys were brawling through the fans, brawling through the concourse, and at one point, Kevin Owens did this crazy dive from like an elevated part where the fans are down to the floor where the three guys were waiting for him. Kevin does this dives right through them, lands hard with his back on the floor. Hell of a move. Kevin Owens again putting his body on the line. This match was fantastic. Kevin went through a table on the concourse, which must have hurt as well. This guy is rock solid. Very durable, Kevin Owens. He takes no time off for injury. Like, he's rarely gone, yet he puts himself through more than anybody else on this roster. Like Mick Foley-like in his ability to take punishment. Very impressive stuff from Kevin Owens tonight, from everybody, really. And Bobby Lashley, of course, wins the match, and he will take on Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at the Royal Rumble. Shout out to Doug Hepburn with me. Doug watched Raw. Ray Cruz watched the final 2 hours. Doug Hepburn says, I don't know how they justify Raw being longer than a premium live event. That is true. Raw, technically a longer show than Day 1, but Day 1 had no commercials and Raw has a bunch of commercials. I think if you added up all the actual meat of the show, it would amount to less wrestling action than on Day 1. Jason Pete didn't watch the first Raw of the year because he didn't want to start the year off sad, which makes sense. I see that. Main event was really good. Excellent main event. The match was good. It was obvious that Bobby was going to win, but the match was so good it didn't really matter. So, because of that, I think Raw was a decent show. We had some decent matches. We had some interesting promos. I'll tell you, Raw tonight was not that bad. It wasn't amazing, but it was pretty good. Like, the main event was very solid. We had a couple matches on the card that were good. Damian Priest and Dolph Ziggler was a good match. Damian Priest beats Dolph Ziggler to retain the U.S. title, despite lots of interference from Bobby Roode. There was a stipulation going into that match where if Priest lost by countout or disqualification, he would have lost the title, but he winds up winning. Excellent match there. Little too much Bobby Roode stuff, and Damian Priest like, oh, am I going to get disqualified or counted out here? Like, a little too much of that, but overall, Priest and Ziggler work really well together, and it looked at a couple of points, Ziggler hit a zigzag, and you thought, oh, maybe he's going to win here. So that was a good match. That was solid stuff. And then the main event, very good. Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, to a lot of people, is a dream match, and I can see that. Two guys that have done MMA, two MMA heavyweights. I think if you put him in an octagon, Brock would win easily. And Brock does seem much bigger than Bobby. I think Bobby is a little smaller than he used to be, but Brock just seems larger than Bobby. He did in that match at Day 1. Just seemed like the biggest man there. Didn't make Bobby look that huge, really. You know, Bobby looks kind of small next to Brock, which isn't great for Bobby. Also, Brock beat all these guys at Day 1, so who really cares, right? He beat all of them in one match. But, of course, a one-on-one match is different, so they'll do that at the Royal Rumble. But Brock is not concerned because Brock is interviewed after the match, and he says, tell Roman Reigns that I will see him on SmackDown this Friday. So Brock Lesnar, shockingly, working 3 times in a week for the WWE. Well, 3 times in the matter of 7 days. I guess it was Saturday. It doesn't really count as the same week, but you understand what I'm saying. Brock Lesnar, in a matter of 7 days, is going to work Day 1 on Saturday, Raw Monday night, and then he's going to appear as well on Friday night on SmackDown. That is a lot for Brock. Greenville, South Carolina, and then he goes to Connecticut on Friday. A lot of travel for Big Brock. Must be getting paid extra for this WWE title run, right? You feel bad for Big E. At least we don't have an absentee champion here on Raw. At least Brock is showing up on Raw and on SmackDown. He's like the hardest working man in the WWE right now. What, is he going to wrestle on Raw next week? No, he will not. But, you know, we're seeing way more Brock than we expected, which is a good thing. So Brock so far as WWE champion, I think, is delivering. On this run, it's not so bad. I just feel bad for Big E because he was not supposed to lose at Day 1. He was supposed to retain the title and go on and do whatever. I don't know what the plans were going forward for Big E, but apparently he was supposed to retain the title at day one. Roman Reigns gets COVID. Brock and Roman is canceled. Brock gets tossed into the other title match. And then, of course, Brock has to win. So Big E's title run, that's it. And Big E's interview backstage was very good tonight. They should have started the show with Big E in the ring, cutting a promo, talking about the comeback. But they don't do that. They give him like 90 seconds backstage because they're not actually interested in making Big E into a star. They just gave him a pre-match promo like they gave everybody else in the four-way to build the four-way. E got a promo, Seth got a promo, Kevin got a promo, Bobby got a promo. They all got a promo before the four-way because they're filling time and prepping the main event. But in Big E's promo to talk about the four-way, he talked about the WWE title and losing the title and how much the title meant to him and how his title run meant a lot not only to him but to a lot of other people, which it did and it still does. Big E says there's no shame in losing to Brock Lesnar, but there is shame in staying down and not getting back up. So his next chapter will be his best chapter, and that will start tonight in the Fatal 4-Way where he will win and face Brock and get a rematch, and it didn't happen. He lost. Bobby Lashley instead, because I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. Is Bobby and Brock a bigger match than Big E and Brock? Big E getting a rematch against Brock? Big E versus Brock, first time ever? I guess you believe Bobby is more likely to have a chance against Brock because he fought for Bellator? I don't know. Is it the MMA thing? Because you look at them physically, Big E and Bobby, like, pretty similar. Pretty close. Big E might be a little thicker than Bobby. I think Bobby's a little taller, but Big E's a little thicker. So why not Big E? Is it because Brock's a babyface? I mean, is he? Seems kind of like in between. I don't know if he's a babyface. I guess he's being presented as a babyface right now because he was in this feud with Roman Reigns and he was a babyface there. But here, taking the title away from Big E, does he have to be the babyface on Raw? Does he have to face a heel in Bobby Lashley? Is this match so big and so important that we had to have it at the Royal Rumble? And you sacrifice Big E's entire run and entire push to do it. The whole Big E, let's make something out of Big E. Let's make him WWE champion. Let's elevate him from a mid-card guy that you can see as tag team champion or intercontinental champion. Let's bring him up to a WWE title level where you could see him beating Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, which he did on his title run. So maybe you could see him beating Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar, but of course not, because that's not how WWE works. So instead, you just forget about Big E's title run altogether, and you put Bobby Lashley in there with Brock because they both fought MMA like 5-6 years ago. When's the last time Bobby actually fought? When's the last time Bobby actually had a fight? Bobby is older than Big E, 45 years old, by the way. His last fight was in 2016. Brock Lesnar is 44 years old, and his last fight was when he tested positive for steroids against Mark Hunt, and now Mark Hunt owes the UFC like $300,000 from that lawsuit, which is crazy. That's a whole other thing, but anyways. Poor Mark Hunt. So it's a 45-year-old man challenging a 44-year-old man for the WWE Championship. Right? Big E is 35 years old. You would think you would want to elevate a guy that will give you another 10 to 15 years and not keep pushing guys that have maybe 5 years left. There's maybe 5 to 6 years left of Brock Lesnar before you start to say, Yeah, is the Unstoppable Beast really a 50-something-year-old man? Are we really supposed to be scared of Brock Lesnar in his 50s? At what point do you say, okay, let's elevate somebody else? Like, this is stupid. He's really old now. Like, Brock at 44 years old is still intimidating, and I'll give you that. But at 48, will he still be intimidating? In 4 years, is Brock still scary to anyone? What about Bobby Lashley? Like, these guys are in their mid-40s. Big E is 35. He's in the prime of his wrestling, money-making career. And they just forget about him. Seth, Kevin, E, all in the prime of their careers, right? Mid-30s, ready to go. You got another 10, 15 years out of these guys in your company. All signed to long-term deals. Like, these are your guys. Bobby and Brock have maybe 5 years left. Maybe. So, okay, you do it now at the Rumble. Fine. But what about in the future? How do you build the next generation of stars? And you can't just build one guy in Roman Reigns. Like, they've done a good job with him. What about everybody else? What about anybody else? And here's Bobby Lashley coming in against Brock Lesnar, which, does anybody buy Bobby Lashley actually beating Brock? The only way Bobby actually beats Brock at the Rumble and becomes champion is if Roman Reigns or the Usos interfere and help him do so. And then we set up Roman versus Brock for the belt at Mania. Like, Roman versus Brock now, they almost caught a break by having Roman test positive for COVID and not do the match at day one, because now you can prolong Roman and Brock and you can give it to us at Mania and it could feel somewhat fresh. Because, again, we saw it in October in Saudi Arabia, and they were going to give it to us again on January 1st. But that got canceled because Roman's got the Rona. So they kind of caught a break because now they could do Roman and Brock at Mania, which is what they've always wanted to do anyways. Like, they haven't done that before. Which they have, in case you forgot. It's quite forgettable. Do something with Big E, and then you just toss him aside. You have this guy you've elevated, you toss him aside. Drew McIntyre was a guy that you elevated. He has a match with Madcap Moss. Apparently he's hurt. He's been tossed aside. Like, he's wrestling Madcap Moss on pay-per-view or premium event or whatever the hell you're calling it now. Come on. Come on. You can't bring people up and then shove them back down. How about bring people up and keep them up? That's how you make, stars, credible people. Bobby against Brock is not believable in a real fight or in a wrestling match because nobody's beating Brock legit other than Roman. So maybe Roman will help Bobby win, and yeah, fine. And then Bobby's a WWE champion. And we set up what exactly? Bobby, Big E at WrestleMania? Big E winning the Royal Rumble might help. At this point, I'd like to see that. Have Big E win the Royal Rumble and then challenge the WWE champion at Mania. Go up against Bobby, take the title back from Bobby, and then you go on with Big E as WWE champion again. That's honestly the best case scenario. Bobby takes the title from Brock at the Rumble because of Roman. Big E wins the Rumble, challenges Bobby for Mania, beats Bobby, and then Big E's champion again. I'd like to see that. And then you do Brock and Roman at WrestleMania, and, that's night 2 or whatever. You don't even have to main event Big E and Brock. Or Big E and Bobby. Could be like middle of the card. Main event with like Becky versus Bianca again or something. Although it seems like they might do Becky and Bianca at the Royal Rumble. Bobby Lashley versus Brock official for the Royal Rumble. Becky Lynch will face the winner of Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, and Doudrop. That triple threat set for Raw next week, where the winner will get a Raw title shot at Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. Solid promo from Becky Lynch tonight. She talks about being champion, says she's become a work of art. Crowd was actually cheering for Becky until she turned on them and said, You're not going to lose that 10 pounds that you need. You're not going to get that job promotion, and you'll never get out of South Carolina because you people are just like Liv Morgan. You will never attain your dreams. Liv Morgan said she would win the Raw title, and she lost because she's terrible. And then Liv Morgan comes out, and she says, oh, I was really close to beating you at day one. Too bad Liv can't say, hey, you know, Becky, you cheated to beat me at day one. You had your feet on the ropes, but Becky missed the ropes with her feet, so she just won clean at day one, which was a mistake. Bianca Belair came out and said, I'm the EST, and I want the next shot. And then Becky tells them to leave the ring and figure it out amongst themselves. Bianca and Liv did not like that, so they toss Becky out of the ring. Bianca and Liv then start fighting with each other. Bianca sets Liv up for the KOD. Becky comes back into the ring, pushes Bianca. Liv falls off of Bianca out of the ring, and then Becky hits the rock bottom on Bianca Belair or the manhandle slam or whatever, and Becky stands tall. And then later on, Doudrop is mad that she's not getting a title shot, and Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville say, okay, Doudrop, you will be in a triple threat next week against Bianca and Liv. I think Bianca probably wins, and then we do Bianca and Becky at the Rumble. That seems like a big match that should happen there. I think that's where we're headed. Solid promo from Becky Lynch tonight. The rest of them, were just there. Paul Heyman probably cut the best promo of the night. Show started off really well and ended off really well. Started off with a great Paul Heyman Brock Lesnar promo, and then finished off with an excellent Fatal 4-Way match. And that's all you really need for a good Raw. Solid opening segment and a solid closing segment, and then you fill it with whatever you need to do, to keep your stories going. Paul Heyman with the in-ring promo introduces Brock Lesnar. So Heyman and Brock are back together. They're back. It's a thing. Heyman's no longer with Roman, and he was taking shots at Roman in his promo. Brock comes to the ring, throws the ring steps into the ring before he even gets in there. Heyman is scared. Brock decides to stand on the ring steps in the ring, kind of like Roman Reigns has done before, and Brock gives a shout out to his good buddy Roman Reigns. He says that Brock says that he's the real champion and tells Roman to get well soon because Roman is the Universal Champion, but Brock is now the WWE Champion. Brock tells South Carolina, acknowledge me. Heyman admits now that he negotiated for Brock Lesnar to be a free agent and what a smart move it was and how he negotiated Brock Lesnar into the Fatal 5-Way at day one when Roman Reigns was sick and couldn't show up. Heyman says that Seth Rollins' wife will leave him if he doesn't beat Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. Heyman then wonders who Becky will leave Seth for because Seth cannot beat Brock Lesnar. Where did that come from, Paul Heyman? That was a little weird. Seth actually talked about Heyman later on during his promo with Kevin Owens. Seth was backstage, and he tells Kevin, I wonder if I should staple Paul Heyman's lips shut or rip his tongue out, or maybe I should just castrate him. So Seth obviously mad at Paul Heyman. So weird mention from Heyman in that promo about, Seth's wife is going to leave him. And then, Seth had his retort in his promo, but they're not involved in anything, right? There's no program there. Seth isn't wrestling Brock unless he will down the road. I don't know. It was a weird little mention there. Heyman continued and said Kevin Owens can't beat Brock either. And then Heyman started putting Bobby Lashley over and says, Bobby's pretty good and Bobby's, this and that. And Bobby looked really good in the match with Brock. So maybe Bobby will be the one to face Brock at the Royal Rumble. But he says Bobby's just a Brock Lesnar wannabe. Heyman says, they should all ask for a trade to SmackDown because the tribal chief is now weak without his advisor. And Heyman says, look, Roman went a week without his advocate, and now he's got the Rona. Right? That was a good line for Paul Heyman. Line of the night. Good stuff. Heyman talks about Big E and how he's a great entertainer and important to WWE, but he can't beat Brock either. So solid opening promo there from Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar together. I like this version a lot better than the old version where Brock just stands there and looks intimidating. Brock is like smiling and talking too. It's much better when Heyman doesn't do all the talking for Brock. I like when Brock talks. Brock is good on the mic. Brock and Heyman together, it works. It's classic. But with Brock talking too, it's just a much better presentation. I enjoyed that promo. And Brock's stuff was really good too. Elsewhere on the show, we had a bunch of people announced for the Royal Rumble. So we have some matches official. It'll be Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley for the title at the Rumble. Street Profits, both Mysterio's Rey and his son Dominic, Austin Theory, and Johnny Knoxville from Jackass are all official for the Royal Rumble match. So 30 men. We already have 6 of the 30. So there's that. I don't think any of the people I just mentioned will win the Royal Rumble. Austin Theory was placed in the Royal Rumble after a promo with Vince McMahon. Vince is in his office. Austin Theory shows up. Vince says he didn't tell Austin Theory that he could come into the office. What's he doing here? And Austin Theory says sorry. And Vince says, sorry. Saying sorry is a sign of weakness. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Don't say sorry. Say sorry is a weakness. So he mumbled some shit about how saying sorry is a sign of weakness. And then Theory says he didn't mean to interrupt. And then he says, people always mean to interrupt. I don't know why they say they don't mean to interrupt, but of course they mean to interrupt. Interrupting is what people do. Vince lost the timbre in his voice, and he's super mumbly. I don't know what's going on, but as Vince gets older, it gets more and more confusing, these promos. Theory wants a rematch with Finn Balor, and Vince says, I liked how you attacked Finn Balor from behind and put him out of action a couple weeks ago, and we haven't seen Finn Balor since. And Theory's like, yeah, you taught me expect the unexpected. And Vince is like, yeah, sorry, expect the unexpected pencil. And then Vince tells Theory that, hey, you're going to be in the Royal Rumble. And Theory's like really happy about that. He's like, yeah, I'm in the Rumble. And Vince tells him, if you win, you get a title shot of your choice, and it'll be in the main event of WrestleMania. And Theory is like really thrilled about that news. Like he's like, oh. Like he can't believe it. He's like so happy. He's happier than when Vince told him he's going to be in the Rumble. Does Austin Theory not watch wrestling? Does he not realize that when you win the Royal Rumble, you get a title shot? Vince is like, you're in the Rumble. Austin Theory's like, cool. That's cool. And then Vince is like, and if you win, you get a title shot of your choice at WrestleMania. And he's like, holy shit, are you kidding me? This is amazing. Like, what? So that was a weird promo. Shouldn't Austin Theory know the rules of the Royal Rumble? Like, does he know that there's 30 men? Does he know you have to toss a guy over the top rope and both feet have to touch the floor? Does he know about the 2 feet touching the floor rule? Has he seen the Shawn Michaels British Bulldog finish of the Rumble? Has he seen when Bret Hart and Lex Luger flew over the top rope and both their feet touched the floor at the same time? He probably hasn't because he's like 22 years old. Maybe he has. He is a pro wrestler. He should know these things, but maybe he doesn't understand the rules of the Royal Rumble. Maybe Vince should explain even more to him. What the fuck? What the fuck? So weird. And like the Vince and Austin Theory stuff continues. It's odd. Seeing Vince is like it's like watching a car crash on the side of the road. It's not that you like watching it, but you can't look away. So he is captivating. I'm fascinated with everything he says. Also, I have to turn the volume up because he speaks in this hushed mumble tone. It's not the booming Mr. McMahon. It's not like the sexed up genetic jackhammer. I like that guy. The grapefruits. I love that guy. But this guy is like, I'm going to mumble it. I don't know where I am. I need a sandwich, muscle milk. I don't know what's going on. It's confused Vince. And Austin Theory doesn't understand the Royal Rumble and how that works. Rey and Dominic know they're in the Rumble. Imagine Dominic Mysterio wins the Royal Rumble. How pissed would you be if that happened, right? Jeez. It won't happen. There's no chance in hell. No chance. Okay. Alpha Academy beat the RK Bro. This was amazing. This was one of the reasons I really liked Raw, too. This match was good, and the Alpha Academy just won. This was Otis running roughshod over everybody. Otis hits a splash on Riddle in the corner, goes outside the ring, clotheslines the head off Randy Orton, like just obliterated old Randy with a clothesline outside the ring. It was amazing. It was so strong that Otis looked slightly worried that he killed Randy. It was really good. And then after clotheslining the shit out of Randy, goes back into the ring. Riddle tries to do some move on Otis. Otis just catches him, picks him up, turns him into a slam. Boom! World's Strongest Slam 1, 2, 3 just wins. Alpha Academy beat RK Bro in a non-title match. Give them the belts. These guys are the best. I love the Alpha Academy. Otis is amazing. Otis is unstoppable. Give Otis the world title. I mean, give me Otis and Brock. Oh, shit. That would be a badass match. Otis is legit as hell. Give me more Otis. All I want to see is Otis. It's Otis time. It's time. It's time. It's Otis time. Otis reminds me of Vader, you know? He's fantastic. I cannot tell you how much I love Otis. And the fact that he just clotheslined Randy's head off tonight was beautiful. Take that, Randy. Randy just crumples in a heap. Fantastic. And the Alpha Academy just beat RK Bro clean. What? What? That was shocking. Of course, they'll get a tag team title shot because of this, and they will lose. But still, I don't even want to talk about Riddle and Randy's promo before the match. Like, Riddle wants to start a rap group with Randy. You know, whatever. It was bad. It was dumb stuff. Dana Brooke and Reginald beat Tamina and Tozawa in a mixed tag match. I think it was for the 24/7 title. Dana retained her title. Reginald pinned Tozawa for the win. Tamina looked mad that Tozawa had lost, but like, whatever. That was very short. It barely registered, really. Zelina Vega and Carmella beat Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. Carmella did not get into this match. She didn't wrestle at all. I don't know what's going on with Carmella. Maybe she's injured or something, but she did not wrestle. She was just on the apron. Zelina bumped Rhea off the apron, then rolled up Nikki for the win. This was all Zelina. Zelina, since becoming Queen of the Ring or Queen Crown or whatever, she's looked very strong. One half of the tag team champions there with Carmella. And Rhea and Nikki lose again. And, of course, Rhea looking disappointed in Nikki. Nikki's the one that keeps losing. And I guess this will lead to a feud between Rhea and Nikki. Rhea needs to get the hell away from this. It should be Rhea versus Becky at WrestleMania. For my money, I put Rhea Ripley as the winner of the Women's Rumble, and it should be Rhea versus Becky at Mania. I would like that. I think they need to bring Rhea back to main event level in that division. Like, she's been floundering. This tag team with Nikki has ruined her. She was looking strong. She was a main eventer. She starts teaming with Nikki, and she's nowhere now. Now she's losing to Zelina and Carmella. It's like, come on. She's much better than this. She should be at the top of the card. She should be wrestling Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. That would be one of the main events as far as I'm concerned. Or maybe a triple threat with Bianca, Rhea, Bianca, and Becky. What are we waiting for here? But, of course, Rhea and Nikki, their tag team is just in turmoil, and, you know. Commander Aziz and Omas both wrestled tonight, which was surprising. They both wrestled matches. Guys that you don't see very often. Street Profits beat Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. Commander Aziz on the losing end of a match. Street Profits coming out with new gear. I thought they looked cool. I like those football jerseys they were wearing. They look good. Gave them a bit of an edge. They didn't look as goofy tonight. They looked more serious. I like the new gear. Montez got the pin on Apollo after a top rope splash. Of course, Commander Aziz did look strong in the match, but they were able to get him out of the ring and take care of Apollo. Match was all right. It was not bad. Not as good as the AJ Styles Omas match, because, of course, AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he can lead anybody through a match. If needed, if the guy listens, AJ Styles can lead anybody. And he was able to lead Omas through a pretty decent match. AJ was doing most of the stuff. You know, it's like the best wrestlers in the world can wrestle a broom handle or broomstick or whatever they say, something with a broom, and make it look good. And that's really what AJ Styles did tonight. Omas was the broom, and AJ Styles was the guy working around him. And AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers of all time. And, of course, he should be the WWE champion right now. He should be at the top of the card. He should be a main event level guy because he is one of the best wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of boots and walk into a ring. And he still is one of the best in the world. And, of course, they just relegate him to this bullshit that he's been doing. And he loses to Omas tonight. Decent match, but what now? Like AJ and Omas, they have this long tag team run, like a year in the making. They finally break up, and they have a match just on Raw, and Omas wins clean. 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring after his chokeslam thing. Where does AJ go from here? Where does Omas go from here? Should be Brock Lesnar, right? Shouldn't Omas go after Brock? Like, so gigantic, you would think the only guy with a shot against Brock would be a guy like Omas. Like, he just beat AJ Styles pretty easily. So you would think Omas would have a shot against Brock. Maybe Omas will win the Royal Rumble. Whew. That would not be good. I hope that doesn't happen. I'd like to see AJ Styles win the Royal Rumble, I'll tell you that, but I don't think that'll happen either. But Omas just beats AJ tonight, which was a little disappointed to see AJ Styles just lose clean to this guy, because I don't think that Omas has a very bright future in wrestling. But they're trying to do something with him, so here we go. It's the Omas attempt. They are going to attempt to make something out of Omas. I believe they will fail because he's awkward as fuck. Not great. But AJ Styles is, and he made the match happen tonight. It was good because of AJ. Omas looks cool. He's gigantic, but, like, him beating AJ, I understand it's very believable because of the size difference, but it's just disappointing as a wrestling fan when you know AJ Styles is just so much better than Omas, right? You just know that in every way, in every aspect of pro wrestling, AJ Styles is better, except for the size, because, of course, Omas is a giant, over 7 feet. Harold Schneider dropped in a super chat. He says, the only thing of interest in the Rumble are the surprise participants. Johnny Knoxville doesn't do it for me. Yeah, me neither. I don't really care to see Johnny Knoxville in the Royal Rumble. Doesn't really do much for me either. I'd rather see Eric Andre, but, they're giving us Johnny Knoxville, so, okay. It's 2002 again, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what surprise participants anybody is looking forward to in the Rumble, but I can't fathom anybody that shocking or that exciting, really. I cannot imagine who the WWE can trot out at this point that will really get a buzz. Like, okay, maybe they'll bring out somebody like Scotty 2 Hotty or Jeff Jarrett or something, and people will enjoy that, and yeah, sure. But it's not going to get a buzz for WrestleMania, Maybe Gable Steveson makes his debut in the Rumble. Doesn't win, but, maybe he's in it. Maybe. Doug Hepburn says the Boogeyman. Yeah, I mean, somebody like that, right? Like, okay. Oh, it's the boogeyman. There goes the boogeyman. Not great. Doug Hepburn says, I know they're different styles, but Otis reminds me of Bundy. He used to scare me. Little kids could be scared of Otis. I agree. I mean, I remember being a little kid being a little bit scared of Vader. Like, Vader was a scary guy there. Early 90s, I'm like, 6, 7 years old. Vader's scary. Super chat, super chat, super chat. Vader was legit. Did that just hit again? I thought that already hit. What's going on with the deal tonight? That wasn't a new one, right? That was Harold? Thank you, Harold. You're the super chat leader. And finally, Miz and Maurice cut an in-ring promo. Maurice wearing quite an outfit tonight. Very revealing. I mean, good God. I mean, you had some up top, you had some underneath. There was everything going on there tonight with Maurice. Miz says he almost beat Edge at day one, but Beth Phoenix was there to save him. And Miz says, what kind of man would let his wife fight his battles for him? And he's like, what kind of man? Who would do that? What man would let his wife fight his battles for him? With Maurice standing right next to him, who, of course, interfered in the match at day one because Miz is just over-the-top stupid heel. What kind of man? It's like, obviously you, Miz, and we get it. And then Maurice tried to, jump in and say something, and Miz just kind of cut her off and was like, what kind of man would do such a thing? I can't believe Edge would let his wife fight his battles for him. What man would... I mean, he just kind of kept going on. I was like, maybe let Maurice talk now, because we've heard enough, Miz, and you're not really saying much. He talked for a while and said nothing. Nothing. Heyman talked for a while and said a bunch of shit. Miz just goes on and just says nothing. Repeats the same things over and over again. Maurice says, eventually gets the mic, and she says Miz would never let his wife fight his battles for him because he's too strong and he's too handsome and he's the best husband and he's great. I don't know what handsome has to do with it, but she threw it in there. Maurice says if Beth Phoenix was there right now, she'd punch her right in the face. And then, of course, Beth Phoenix music hits. And Maurice is all scared. Like, aren't you backstage for hours before this show? You don't know Beth is there? Beth knows you're there. She's right there waiting in Gorilla for you. Beth Phoenix and Edge show up. Beth Phoenix's music hits, and then she just stands on the stage, and you're like, are you coming out, Beth? And then here comes Edge. So it's like, oh, okay, you're waiting for your guy. And then they come down to the ring together. And Beth says, it wasn't Edge who wanted me to do that. I was the one at day one who wanted to attack The Miz, and I was the one who wanted to, interfere in them. And she didn't even attack The Miz at day one, right? She just chased Maurice around and distracted The Miz, which allowed Edge to win. But Beth says, it was my idea, and it wasn't Edge who made me fight his battles for him. And then Edge challenged Miz and Maurice to a tag team match at the Rumble, which Miz accepts for some reason. Maurice was not happy about it. She was arguing with The Miz, saying, I don't want to do this. And then Beth acts like she's going to punch Maurice, and Maurice falls down to the ground in fear. And that's how that segment ended. I mean, we got there. We got there eventually. It took a little while. It was not really fun to watch. But we got there. And we will have Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix at the Rumble. Not WrestleMania. Kind of a match I thought you might do at Mania, maybe wait, but they're going to do it at the Rumble. And why not? Why not? I think Edge and Beth will win, unless they're going to set up something at Mania, like another match, but, oh, geez, I hope not. Have Edge and Beth win, and then you move on. I think it's kind of nice that Edge and Beth get to wrestle together. I'm sure their daughters are really hyped to see their parents tag team, have a tag team match on pay-per-view. I'm sure Miz and Maurice's daughters are happy as well that their parents are teaming. Although their parents seem to lose a lot of matches, right? Last time Miz and Maurice teamed, wasn't it against Nikki Bella and John Cena? They lost that one. But Miz and Maurice are still together. Watch out, Beth and Edge. You know what happened to the last couple that faced Miz and Maurice? They may have beat them, but they broke up. So, be careful is all I'm saying. Miz and Maurice are a curse on pro wrestling and relationships. All right? That's what I'm telling you. That's a fact. Take it to the bank. So Paul Heyman back with Brock Lesnar tonight. Brock versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE title, official for the Rumble. And Brock Lesnar is going to be on SmackDown Friday night to confront Roman Reigns, which means Roman Reigns, I guess, over the COVID and will be on SmackDown Friday, which is surprising, but okay. Cool. Good. Street Profits, Mysterios, Austin Theory, and Johnny Knoxville, official for the Royal Rumble. Other matches for the Rumble, Miz and Maurice versus Beth Phoenix and Edge. And Becky Lynch versus the winner of Doudrop, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair. Next week, Alexa Bliss will begin her journey back to Raw, whatever that means. They flashed a graphic and said, next week, Alexa Bliss's journey back to Raw begins. I don't know. Maybe they're going to follow her in a car. It'll be like ride along or something. Just their journey to the arena. I don't know. But she was like weird and the Fiend, and then she disappeared, and now I guess she'll come back as a new character, and maybe she's recovered from her mental breakdown that happened with the Fiend. I don't know. And frankly, I don't care about Alexa Bliss and her journey back to Raw. Who cares? I'll tell you this. In 2 hours' time, you can watch some solid pro wrestling. The Wrestlemania of New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom, is tonight. It's a 2-night event, just like WrestleMania. And the first night is tonight at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Eastern Time on NJPW World, New Japan Pro Wrestling World. You could watch Wrestle Kingdom, which is kind of exciting. Not as exciting as it usually is because of COVID and injuries and different things. We're missing a lot of key players in New Japan. New Japan has been hurting for talent, hurting for excitement over the past year, couple of years, really. And this year's Wrestle Kingdom is just not that exciting. But I can guarantee it will be some very solid professional wrestling. It will be headlined tonight or tomorrow morning by Shingo Takagi defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. So Okada-Takagi main events for the world title. It's going to be awesome. I mean, that match will be kick-ass. And the winner will take on Will Ospreay tomorrow night for the title. So Ospreay gets winner on night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. Elsewhere tonight, we'll have El Desperado defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship against Hiromu Ticking Time Bomb Takahashi, one of my favorites. The Dangerous Tekkers, Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., taking on Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi for the IWGP Tag Team titles. Dangerous Tekkers defending there. Tomohiro Ishii, the never openweight champion, defending against Evil. Katsuyori Shibata, the wrestler, making his return. This is the match I'm looking forward to the most all weekend. Shibata will be making his return against an unknown opponent. So it'll be a mystery opponent, but just seeing Shibata back is something no one ever thought we would see. He had a severe head injury, a brain injury, and he was thought to be retired, but he is back tonight at Wrestle Kingdom. The return of Shibata, that's really what I'm looking forward to the most. Los Ingobernables de Japón, Tetsuya Naito, Sanada, and Bushi will take on United Empire, Will Ospreay, Great-O-Khan, and Jeff Cobb. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Rocky Romero in a 6-man tag against Kenta, Taiji Ishimori, and El Phantasmo representing the Bullet Club. Yo will take on Sho. Roppongi, 3K have broken up, and they will face each other. And on the opener, it will be the New Japan Rambo.
Super chat.
New Japan Rambo to determine who will challenge for the provisional KOPW 2020 trophy on night 2. And then on night 2, you will have the Flying Tiger, Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions defending in a triple threat against Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo and Ryusuke Taguchi and Rocky Romero. We'll have a women's match, which is rare for New Japan. Stardom Invasion. Mayu Iwatani and Starlight Kid take on Tam Nakano and Saya Kamitani. The four-way match for the Provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2022 trophy will happen. Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, and Sho will take on Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo. Sanada will go one-on-one with the Great Okan. Tetsuya Naito will go one-on-one with Jeff Cobb, which should be awesome. Kenta will defend the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace. That should be good, too. And then, of course, Shingo Takagi or Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, which will also be excellent. So that is New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom coming up later tonight. Doug Hepburn dropping a super chat. He says, "Hey, Ben, hope you're back soon. You are the AJ Styles to Dave's Omas." What? He's bigger than me, though. And I mean, I kind of take that as an insult, right? Isn't that like... Because Omas, like, you know, he sucks. I was saying he's, like, not good at wrestling. And AJ Styles is, like, the best ever. You're saying that I'm not good at this and my brother is, like, the best ever? I mean, that... I'm going to end the show now. In sadness, all right? Thank you for the super chat, Doug. Appreciate you. You're the super chat leader of the night. Took over from Harold. And that's it for me. That is it, all right? Goddamn solo show here. Ben carries the show. I don't think that's how you meant to spell carries, but I understand. Does he, though? I feel like, all right, fine. Fine. I'll be back here with Johnny North on Wednesday night after Dynamite in Newark. This Wednesday's Dynamite should be awesome, right? Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship. Jade Cargill versus Ruby Soho for the first ever TBS title. It'll be the first Dynamite on TBS coming up on Wednesday night. And I'll be on with Johnny North right after Dynamite to talk about it. Okay? Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, the Dynamite post show right here on the Ringside Report Network. Then Thursday night, we will be back here with Freddie and AJ. Thursday night, 8 p.m. to talk a little mixed martial arts. Ringside Report MMA. Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, Friday night, 10 p.m., we will be back after SmackDown, myself and Johnny North talking SmackDown. I know Doug is just joking. We're all good. And then, yeah, that's what's happening. AEW's got Battle of the Belts coming up on Saturday. That's something else, too. I don't know about that. We'll see. All right. I'll be back here Wednesday night after Dynamite. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Become a member of the channel. Support the Ringside Report Network. I mean, good God almighty. Look at me here. I just did an hour for you guys by myself. By myself. Because we're under curfew. Come on. Become a member. Thank you. Appreciate you. See you again Wednesday night after Dynamite. Hopefully with Bryan Danielson as the new champion and definitely that bitch show, Jade Cargill, TBS champion. Let's go, Jade.